It is 10 o'clock. The regular meeting of the Gilliam County Court is called to order. It's August 5th, and we're in Condon today. A quorum has been established and we'll now have the flag salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome. Are there any additions or revisions to the agenda from the commissioners? All right, we will now open the public hearing on the Economic Enhancement Ordinance Amendment. The public hearing is now called to order on Ordinance 2026-02 Economic Enhancement Fund. The county court would like to hear from the public on this issue during this hearing. The public hearing is your opportunity to comment on the proposal before the county court makes a decision. We want to hear what you have to say, and we want you to give us your point of view. If you wish to comment on the hearing item, you will have an opportunity to do so. All persons commenting must be recognized by the judge. Please speak clearly and slowly and state your name and address for the record. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes. Regarding conflicts of interest, at this time, I'll ask the members of the county court if there are any conflicts of interest regarding the matter before us. No conflicts?
I don't have any.
Okay, I do not either. Does any member of the audience wish to challenge the ability of any member of the county court to hear this matter? Okay. The Economic Enhancement Ordinance with a red line strikeout was posted on the Gilliam County website. So it's available there. We will now begin with any public testimony. I will now invite all those signed up to provide comment on this matter and also those online to come forward at this time. Is there any members of the public that would like to comment on the Economic Enhancement Ordinance? Okay, come up. Come out to the table, yeah. So you'll state your name and address and make your statement. Yes. There's a microphone.
Oh, okay.
Gary Betancourt, and address would be 221 South Oregon Street, I guess. I was just reading it again downstairs. There's just one word in the emergency services that was added. And the definition or what it's to be used for is personnel. Maybe you could read it there.
Okay, so Emergency Services Support Fund. This fund is established to support the needs and resources of Gilliam County to maintain emergency medical services in county fire districts. The intent of this fund is to provide financial support dedicated for equipment, personnel, or operational support to our emergency services in Gilliam County.
So that I mean, I know it seems so simple and detailed, but if that or was changed to and, then you're not designating single uses. It would include them all.
Thank you.
Right. That's all I have.
So change it to and operational support.
Yes. Okay, is there any other in-person public comment? Is there any online public comment? Okay. Leave it open for just a little while because this has gone fast.
Is everybody even online? So.
Well, 11 people online.
Okay.
Okay. We will now close the public hearing. The public hearing on Ordinance 2026-02 Economic Enhancement Fund is now closed to additional comment. Do we have any reason to deliberate at this time, or did you want to make any comment on the wording?
No, I think you pretty much covered it in the last meeting.
Okay, and I also believe that we just have a few minor things such as when it will be adopted, we'll need to change that date for the next meeting rather than today's date, so it would be the 19th. And then one of the things that I know because of being around a long time is this ordinance has a legislative history as outlined about what has changed each time the ordinance was changed. And the last page of the ordinance does list that to carry on that, because it is really important to understand what changed and when. Let's see, and then we will take into account the change of that word "and" from "or." Okay. All that we need today, because we're not taking action today, there'll be a second reading, which will be August 19th, is that we do need a motion for the first reading of the ordinance to be by title only.
Do you have language for it? No.
We have a motion that it be by title only, and then we'll read it by title only.
Okay, I move to, are we approving?
No, we're just reading it by title only.
Okay.
We just need a
I
motion
make a motion
that it be read.
for
by-
the first reading of the ordinance by title only for the Economic Enhancement Fund, ordinance number 2026-02.
I'll second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded. So any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. The first reading will be read by title only in the matter of the Gilliam County Economic Enhancement Fund, ordinance number 2026-02. Okay. Next action on this will be in Arlington on August 19th. Continue then. All right. Correspondence and public comment. Individuals wishing to address the county court may do so at this time and at other times throughout the meeting. Speakers are asked to raise their hand and be recognized by the chair, give their name and city, and limit comments to 3 minutes. I know there are a lot of people here regarding the fire discussion. So what I think we'll do is just continue on with our agenda. And then when we get to that section, which is new business 7.2, fire recovery discussion, is that going to work for everyone who's here? Sorry to keep you here. A lot of this is going to go fairly quick, I believe. And then we can just talk about all of that at once then. How's that sound? Okay. All right. So we had one person who signed up for a public comment. Did you want to comment during the fire discussion then? Wyatt?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll just do it that way. All right, is there any public comment online? General, please? No. Okay. We'll just go into our items of correspondence. 4.1, fiscal year 26 operational support grant final report from Frontier CASA. That's in your packet. 4.2, there's a 2026 wildfire recovery survey. This was prepared and distributed by Gilliam SWCD and Skylar Palmer from OSU Extension. And that is relative to help that's needed regarding pasture hay, water fencing, grazing land available, or a way to donate supplies. There's also a Gilliam County Veteran Services fourth quarter report in your packet under 4.3. Take a look at that. There's a letter of recognition that was written by Casey Zellers regarding Sergeant Anthony Redden regarding the fires. Fiscal year 26 operational support grant final report, Arlington Saddle Club. Fiscal year 26 special projects grant final report, Columbia Basin High School Rodeo Club. 4.8 treasurer's report for May 2026. Our treasurer is at a conference now and provided the financial report for you to review. If you have any questions about that, you can contact her next week. Okay.
I didn't have any.
She's done a lot of work to get everything on track and learn the systems. 4.9, there's a letter to Governor Tina Kotek from Matt Hammer that regarding the fires, and it's a good letter. I encourage you to read it. I sent that on to Nate Stice, who's works in the governor's office, to make sure it gets to the right hands. Commissioner Watkins worked with Matt on that letter to get it going. 5.0 consent agenda. 5.1 consider approval of bills pending review for July 2026. And 5.2 consider approval of July 1st regular meeting minutes.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, it has been moved and seconded to approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion?
Maybe.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Okay, unfinished business, 6.1, final report, Marina and Company. In your packet, you will find a final report of the work that was completed by Marina and Company to identify the issues regarding the conversion to CASA and get us in preparation for our audit. Good news is the audit for 24-25 took place this last week, and it's for the most part complete. We do have, is it Tanya online?
Both.
Okay. Okay, all right, Marina and Company, go ahead and address the court.
Good morning. Can
Hello.
you hear me?
Yes.
Morning.
This is Tanya Moffett. Our goal here today is to provide an overview of what occurred during the county's accounting system conversion, the process used to investigate and resolve the remaining discrepancies, and the conclusions documented in our exit memo. Basically, I want to give you a little bit of an overview and background. The county initiated an accounting system software conversion during fiscal year 2025 by moving from CHAVS, a locally owned software solution created in Baker City, to CASA, which is a nationally recognized system tailored to local governments. The conversion was intended to bring over historical transaction data from the prior system into CASA, as well as detailed records from July 1st, 2024 through December 31st, 2024, because CHAVS was used for the first 6 months of that fiscal year. So during that transition, several conversion-related errors affected account balances and transaction detail. Those issues were not the result of one single problem, but rather several compounding issues that occurred during and after the conversion process. Our role was to assist the finance team in identifying, analyzing, and helping resolve the remaining discrepancies, specifically to cash and beginning fund balance accounts. Through our investigation, we were able to identify and resolve those issues impacting additional accounts. Essentially, we took an approach where we walked through the nature of the issues that were identified, explained how we worked with the county staff to isolate and address those issues, and address the current status of the accounting records. We took a two-pronged approach to analyzing the activity in fiscal year 2025. First, by comparing the details in CHAVS records to the detailed CASA records for July 1st through December 31st, 2024. The goal was to identify any transactions that were present in one system. So if they were in CHAVS or they were only in a CASA, but not in the other. These items could represent different contributing factors to the overall accounting discrepancies. The second prong involved reviewing adjusting journal entries created during the conversion and subsequent correcting journal entries and process. And we were specifically looking at manual entries, which are standard in conversions, but they carry a bigger risk because they are not directly from a system. So our results, we identified basically some discrepancies. So there were some CHAVS transactions that were omitted from CASA, and there were some reverse signs on accounts payable. There was some duplicate cash entries and some duplicate correcting entries. Together, those issues affected the accuracy and reliability of the reported balances and made it difficult for management and the auditors to rely on the fiscal year 2025 activity recorded in the accounting records. So essentially, the resolution, as a result of this engagement, the significant conversion-related discrepancies affecting cash, fund balances, and accounts payables were identified and corrected. However, because we did not audit all of fiscal year 2025 activity or review every transaction, we cannot provide absolute assurance that there are no other discrepancies that existed. So I'm happy to hear that the fieldwork was done for the 2025 audit, and it sounds like it went smoothly. Any significant discrepancies that we did identify, though, we did correct during our engagement, and the affected balances have been substantiated, the significant discrepancies have been corrected, and the accounting records are now have improved accuracy and supportability. Does anybody have any questions about our work or the memo that we provided?
Thank you.
Yes. Thank you so much for, and the work of our own staff working
Yes.
with you to get us there. You did it. You identified that it was complex. You said it was complex. And so I don't know another way but the way we chose to get this done. And it had to be done as quickly as we could. So thank you very much. Good work. You'll become highly recommended now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Tanya.
Okay. Consider appointment of City of Arlington representative to Mid-Columbia Economic Development District. Do we have Jessica Meta? I told her no. Oh, 10:45. Okay, we're going way faster. Okay. We'll just put that at the end and just see if we're done by then. The fire discussion is going to be the bulk of what's going to happen now. So we'll just move 7.1 down. Does that work for you? Okay. 7.2, fire recovery discussion. This was agendized because the last time we met was July 15th. July 15th was the day of the lightning storm, and that was in Arlington. Am I right on dates? So
Yeah.
we had an extra week in our county court schedule. Typically months fall with 4 Wednesdays, and that July had 5. So it's been, a couple of weeks now. This is the first meeting since then. So there's a lot of people that have a lot to say, and I want to make sure we have time for that. We're all in this together. Now's the time to talk about what we can do in the future and what we can do to, help where we can. This is one where there was so much widespread, unprecedented, I guess you can say, unprecedented event in our county with so many lightning strikes so far wide in our county. Our farmers and ranchers stepped up to assist our local fire departments and volunteers. And I mean, this kind of gives you chills when you think about what happened here to save the homes and the land. And I personally would like to see some way that we can work to create some sort of an emergency funding program of some sort. Gilliam County has been financially fortunate. There's pros and cons to everything. Maybe we shouldn't do that because it would set a precedent, but this is unprecedented. And maybe we need to find a pot of money. Those farmers and ranchers have stepped up and used their own diesel and have damaged their own equipment. They're taxpayers, and we're all in this together. And if there's something that we can do, those are just my thoughts.
I agree. This was just something like never ever seen in my lifetime, and I don't know if the county ever has. Um, all the local resources, man, just can't say enough. But yeah, there's something now that we can do. Uh, I think that, like I say, we've had a lot of people that use their own equipment. Um, if I don't know where we're at on like livestock feed, I think we're good. There's been some donations,
We
right?
get a report from the
Okay.
SWC who's worked on that.
Yeah.
Um,
And I agree. I think, we're very fortunate that we're in the situation we are financially with the county. And, if this is one of those times where we need to try to figure out some way we can try to help reclaim some of these expenses that these people have done. Just don't know how we're going to do it or how to go about it yet. But I think we need to try to come up with something.
just a little possible solution. It's possible, and it hasn't been decided yet, but because it has to do with land and agriculture and livestock, there's a possibility maybe that the SWCD could manage the program. If we did this,
Yeah.
the compensation program, because they already have experience in their systems and granting funds. The hard part when you think of this is the how, and they may be the how.
Yeah.
If we provided the funding and they set up the program and communicated with the producers. So go ahead, what are your thoughts?
I said probably 10 years ago that they also needed to set up a database that had, what people's resources available, whether they have a cat, a water truck. I mean, for instance, like that, so that.
So I think we're talking about two things. We're talking about what do we do to respond to the recovery of this fire? And then a long-term not a long-term conversation, but when there's snow on the ground and it's not burning up, we're talking about the next time this happens, because now we've had two big next times recently. And so is it going to happen? Is it going to continue to happen? And so like that is a great idea for the big plan.
Yeah.
Well,
To
and I
know
guess,
the resources you
yeah,
have.
I guess one of the things I just wanted to add and the fire districts, law enforcement, everybody probably knows more, but we had before other help coming in from other fire districts, we had some local contractors show up with water resources. And some I've talked to a few of them that were there, and they, waste management, they did send some tankers, some different things. But some people really came, and I think they went to Joe and whatever, what do you want me to do or whatever. And but anyway, some of those I know are not looking for anything. They just wanted to help out. But yeah, I do think we need to try to see if we can do something with some of these other.
And I think that you're probably going to see some people who won't accept the help. We're showing that, okay, the next time that something happens, we may need them. And if they're price of wheat, the price of diesel, I mean, it becomes an economic decision out of, unfortunately, they have to make a decision. So
I've had a lot of farming happen. Might not be as much farming to do this fall or next spring, but yeah.
do we just want to have people come up and
Yeah.
speak? I'm gonna have to control it somewhat because it's gonna be hard to hear who's speaking. So one at a time, or a couple of you, if you're both from SWC, to come up and just talk with us. But let's just start with the first person who signed it, the only person who actually signed the sheet. Wyatt, you want to come up and talk with us? Wyatt Johnson?
Yep, Wyatt Johnson, 320 South Bryan Street, Compton, Oregon. You guys, I had a speech written, but you guys said about the first 2/3 of it, so I could probably skip a lot of those sections. But I'll just go really fast. So this year alone, wildfires have scarred over 150,000 acres of farmers and ranchers' precious wheat and range ground for cattle grazing, and has devastated multiple families with lost homes and structures. As you know, they're not just a playground for our landowners, it's their livelihood. We can't control lightning storms, we can't control how much rain we get, we can't control high winds or low humidity, but we can control our suppression efforts. Now, I'd like to take a second to thank our Gilliam County Rural Fire Department for countless hours and time away from their families. They've put in so much effort and suppressed many wildfires in Gilliam County this year and in past years, and they are the backbone to all suppression efforts. I would also like to give a big thanks to our Gilliam County Road Department for stepping in and dipping into their budget to help serve this county and protect against wildfires. However, I would like to point out something. On the Watch Duty app, I noticed something different about Gilliam County fires each time I look at the app. Nearly every Watch Duty update for Gilliam County fires, when they're stating the resources on scene, they always include local landowners. Farmers, ranchers, landowners, and community members in Gilliam County are like none other when it comes to fire suppression. I counted there are over 20 landowners on the active 911 alert system, and countless others follow once a fire arises. Whether it's a farmer bringing a disc, a rancher bringing a dozer, or landowners bringing pickups or side-by-sides with water tanks, they are always on the front line immediately. We do it because we care about this land. It's not just our dirt, it's our livelihood, and it's our home. I'd like to provide some numbers to you on how much money local landowners and community members have poured into firefighting in Gilliam County. I did this research about a week and a half ago. Tanner McIntosh has 3 pickups with water pumpers. In the summer, they are designated to fire suppression. That's all they do. The cost of all those together is $45,000. He has 2 side-by-sides with water pumpers, and in the summer, they are designated to fire suppression. That's estimated at $60,000. All his tools, including bladder bags, leaf blowers, hand tools, etc., over $2,000. And just this year alone, up to July 24th, when I talked to him, his fuel maintenance and repairs was already at $4,000. We're not even halfway through fire season. Another good example is Jeff Kersey. Jeff Kersey has deployed his dozer on countless fires, offloading from his truck in Lowboy. He has spent 48 hours in his machine this year, spending nearly $5,000 in fuel, repair, and maintenance, and that was in a 1-week span. Farmers like Justin Payne and Brandon Wagner putting multiple discs or dozers on fires. Maintaining a disc on a fire is expensive. Blown tires and broken disc sections are very prone on wildfires. As you can see, fire suppression efforts are very expensive and costs are only rising. So today I come to you to propose 2 ideas. Number 1 is a reimbursement plan for local landowners, and number 2 is a local RFPA. Now I'll start with reimbursement, which we've already talked about, but a reimbursement plan for the county would allow local landowners to afford these high prices. I had one landowner say, "I don't know if I can afford to go to any more fires this year. I'm already way upside down in it." A county reimbursement plan could be constructed with a funding pool, time logs, application-based, or simply receipt reimbursement. This would allow local landowners to be more prepared, equipped, and spend less personal money to protect. The goal would be to have a program set in place so that next year it's all ready to rock and roll. Now I'll kind of go into the RFPA. So an RFPA, standing for Rangeland Fire Protection Association, can be very powerful in areas like ours. Wheeler and Wasco counties have multiple RFPAs that are hard at work every year to protect against wildfires. RFPAs are pretty simple. They're funded by grants and donations, but they're volunteer powered. Now let me note that the intention of an RFPA is not to pull away from our rural fire department. It would be to aid them. Farmers, ranchers, and community members could join an RFPA, making it much more affordable to protect and serve the lands we love. It would offer a huge new asset to the county for initial attack purposes. In conclusion, an RFPA would allow landowners to join and become a force where communication is high and equipment is strong. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks, Ryan.
Great ideas. Thank you. All right,
I would like to comment that with the communication, I think that was something that Matt brought up in his letter too. Was having communication skills so that they knew what other people were doing and.
Mobile Starlink seems to be one of the things that's come out of this. Too, you know. Herbenor, wanna come up?
Sure.
Herb Winters, 234 South Main Street, Gilliam SWCD.
Nori Wright, 234 South Main Street with the Gilliam SWCD.
So I guess I can just run through a couple of things that we've been up to. I think all the ideas that have been talked about today are great. Just a few, just number crunching for you folks. So we're at total, I ran the final perimeter numbers today. We're at a total of, for all the fires in Gilliam County year to date, it's 116,615 acres. The county is the second ranked county in the state for percent of county burned, behind Wheeler. Based on these numbers, we're about 14.9% of the county has burned. For example, comparing Wheeler's burned about 19.76% of their county. We all know that the Hay Creek complex and the Roe Creek complex were at one point were the two biggest fires in the country. So with all of that, about 80% of the ground that was burned in Gilliam County was range. We estimate around 20,000 acres was wheat, either stubble, fallow, or standing wheat. It's really hard to get a really good number on the standing wheat that was burned, where some of it was cut, some of it wasn't. And our data that we get for this is actually from last year, so we have to kind of swap and just assume that what was fallow wheat last year is standing wheat this year. So that number is iffy, just putting that out there. So that's primarily range that was burned. We do not have an estimate on how many miles of fence were burned. That'll happen through folks coming into the Farm Service Agency and reporting what their losses were. Just to touch on the fence right now, the Farm Service Agency, they have their packets ready to go. They have 80 packets ready for Gilliam County producers. That has, I think, 4 or 5 different federal programs in there to help them with feed, with fence, and other things. But they're waiting on some final details on their programs before they said they want to do 2 producer meetings, one in Arlington and one in Connon, probably either next week or the week after. Not sure exactly when that will happen, but that will be an opportunity for folks to come in and learn about the USDA programs that they have. Just a reminder, those don't move quickly. So folks, it'll take time to get that funding. But if folks have questions, the best way to get their answers is to call the Farm Service Agency. We have a pretty good understanding of the programs, but they really know what it's about. So call them at our office here in Connon. I guess I can go into some of the things that we've been working on with the hay. I guess, Nori, go ahead and you can chat about the hay donations, working with Kaylan and Chris and others.
Yes, it's been successful, a little chaotic in the beginning, but as of right now, there was about 60 tons of hay that was donated through various individual donors. Oregon Livestock Auction was kind of a big push, after it went all the way through the channels and got out who needed help. So about 60 tons of hay have been donated and they've been distributed in Gilliam, Wheeler, and Morrow counties. So it's going to kind of fight that immediate need. And we've had some wonderful equipment operators and people who have spent their time, money and equipment to get it unloaded and reloaded and hauled, and it's kind of, it was a touch of the circus in the beginning, I'm not
Yes.
gonna lie, but it got much better as we kind of all worked together. And then we were also able to work with Kaylin Lane and Ford Family Foundation, EDP Renewables, and some other funders to secure $20,000 to go to some of those equipment operators who brought their stuff in and unloaded, who hauled, and then also to purchase additional hay for the winter pasture that was burnt. So it's been a really successful project, right? We've learned a lot. So
Yeah, and Nori and others worked really, really hard to pull that off.
It's great.
It's really,
there's been, I mean, Carrie Wade was amazing. Dean Stevens, I said, I need you to help me figure this out. And he was great. He helped organize all of it. There's just some really great, I mean, there's so many people want Skylar, right? I was like, send out some surveys and help us. And he's out of town, unfortunately, this week, but he deserves a lot of credit. He always builds those and helps. So.
yeah, but I think Scott Nation donated.
Oh, yeah, Scott
equipment,
Nation.
So everybody kind of came together.
Billings, Sabrina Wagner, Bates Ranches. I mean, it was anybody and everybody,
Right.
to get those semis unloaded with a different varieties and sizes of hay bales. And it was kind of a little interesting for a while. A lot of kids came and helped with small bales. Like it took everybody.
Yeah, right.
So.
Just a couple other things we've been working on. With the SWCD, what we try to do is fill the gaps, right? So we know what the USDA can do to help folks, and we try to figure out what they can't do. And then that's where we come in to try to find grant funding. And so just for example, a couple of things every year is the dozer lines. So that's a huge amount of disturbed acreage in the county to suppress the fires, but there's really no funding available to help restore that after the fact. So landowners are pretty much left to like fix those up themselves, seed them. If they aren't left, if they're just left alone, it's just a place where annual grasses and things like that can get started, other weeds. But we're really kind of setting the stage for just faster wildfires. If we get a whole bunch of annual grass filling in these spots, it's just going to make our problem worse. So what we need to do is focus on these dozer lines and get seed down. And the problem with our funding typically is that nothing happens quickly enough. So we can write grants to get this funding, but after like the 2024 wildfires, we didn't get any funding for the seed until like March of the following year. So March of 25. That's too late. We have to get this down in the winter time to have a chance to suppress these weeds that are going to come in. So that's a big problem that we always have. We've put in, there's an Oregon disaster financial network, funding network. Yep, sorry. So we put in 2 proposals. One was for grass seed. The SWCD already has purchased satellite imagery. We did this in 2024. Chris Fitzsimmons has been trying to help us find imagery, but they didn't take any for our county. They've been in the other fires. So we ended up having to purchase that. We haven't been able to get that imagery yet because of the wildfire smoke. But basically we task a satellite to take pictures of all the fires in Gilliam County. That costs about $13,000. So my board has made that investment, mostly because we have to inventory these things. That's the fastest way to do it. We could spend a lot more time and money on side-by-sides driving all over these. But just for example, we got a fire line from the incident command folks, and it totaled up to like 60 miles of dozer lines. And that's what they've mapped. And that doesn't get done until they kind of show up. And so like on the Hoke fire, that thing started early. The Hopkins, we barely have any dozer lines there that were mapped. And so the one thing to do that is our own side-by-sides or just to get imagery and take those pictures. But we have to do that to get an inventory so then we know how much seed we actually need. And then we can tell our producers, like, you have X amount of dozer lines. They know that they have ground torn up, and they may not know exactly where it's at. So that's kind of our first step, what we're working on. Hopefully we're successful with this disaster funding network ask. I think what did we ask for, Lori? We asked for about $90,000 from them. On top of that, another thing that we learned from the 2024 wildfires out in Lone Rock is hauling water. So folks have to, if their pastures are completely burned up, they have to find emergency pasture. And a lot of times that ends up being CRP or pastures that may not have water. We fixed one of the problems that happens with that, which is the virtual fencing, which the court helped out with in 2024. Just as a side note, we don't have as many cows involved in these fires this year like we did in 2024. We have equipment out there. It's being used on some folks, but no one has really come to the district yet saying we need virtual fence.
This latest.
This latest one, but we do have equipment available. We're asking, and hopefully we can get that to the folks that need it. But in the meantime, we have these emergency pastures that don't have, the water that they need. And so, and then during the 2024 wildfires, the FSA helps pay for that hauling, but it's not very much. And then like folks out in Lone Rock, they have to haul and do all this stuff that they normally didn't have to do. So it's eating into their time, which they don't have enough of already. So we put in another proposal to this disaster funding network so that the district could get troughs. So we would get a bunch of 1,300 gallon aluminum troughs that we could, like, the district would own. We would get out to folks in these emergency pastures. And then we also asked for funding to basically hire a local person with a water truck to deliver water to these emergency pastures throughout the fall, basically. So those are some of the things we've been up to. The Callan Wilkins, who just got hired at the Watershed Council, she's called 59 of the 89 landowners on our list that were affected by the fires. So we've made calls to everybody, as many people as we can so far, getting ideas. We have a call with the Disaster Funding Network tomorrow, just to basically talk through our request to them to see if we can get those actually funded for folks here in Gilliam County. But that's what we're up to. Am I missing anything?
I think the only update, because you were in the canyon, is that yesterday we actually had 2 producers come in and request options for virtual fence. So as that kind of the dust is settling and they're
good.
thinking and learning, and once they come in and talk, they kind of understand the different uses and tools. They're like, oh,
Yeah,
it could benefit. It's not just a collar on a cat. So that'll be interesting, I think, to see as it goes.
And then I guess as far as like reimbursing producers and the district having a hand in helping with that, I think that we would be happy to look into that.
Okay.
I haven't talked to my board about this yet, but
it's just, when time is of the essence, but then we have a meeting right now, just talk about it. Maybe just get the thoughts of the county board about that idea. And if it's the parameters, we'd have to determine what are the parameters, but it would be I'm seeing this as similar to the agreements we have with like PCDC, where, okay, here's your funding, you run the program and you figure out who qualifies and who doesn't. And that's how it works. You have all the contacts, what people need. What's reasonable. It's not gonna be clean because people don't have their gas receipt or their diesel receipt from the day this all happened. Probably in most cases, but some of the due diligence, but also considering we're trying to cut the red tape here. What do you think?
Yeah, well, in a perfect world, like how long do you think they can get you this money? I mean, spring?
I think pretty quickly
Oh, they
as far
will.
as the disaster
Okay.
funding.
You're talking about the actual for like grass seed and.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm hopeful that that's the case.
I think our toughest thing would be probably the match aspect of it.
Yeah, we have to, we can use our $13,000 on the match, for like maybe the grass seed one, but I think we've asked a total of, let's see when, 165,000 from the disaster funding folks.
No, I was just thinking something we could do somehow to preload that like we did with the virtual fencing, last year or 2 years ago.
So if we did I guess I just created a name, Emergency Fire Response Fund, that, some of our current grant funds and our SIP funds, we have to figure an amount. And then, because I don't know where we'd start there, or not to exceed amount. Have any, and then that could be available for diesel reimbursement, things that weren't covered by insurance on some of the equipment that people literally lost that they need to farm their own ground coming up soon. I don't know how far we want to go with this. I'm just talking. Casey?
So something just to kind of add to that. And I sent you and the commissioners and Anya, kind of an extensive list of kind of how some of those programs from around have been done, and kind of breaks it down into, you know, is it a wildlife or like wildfire relief fund? Is it an equipment reimbursement? So those should be in your emails. I
Okay,
have them printed off, but my print
Yeah.
at the station was not working.
Right. okay, yeah,
But you guys have those in your emails, and it's 10 different kind of long lists of how some of those programs can work.
okay,
whether it's
we can
fuel
forward that to you. Okay. So do we have any aversion to this idea? Yes, would be my first question.
No, but I think we probably need to have you guys help us come up with what kind of figure.
Mhm.
we'd be
Yeah, that's
looking
really
at.
what we need to know. How much are we talking about? And we could do that, you know, as we talk outside the meeting.
Right.
And then,
Yep.
but not commit to anything until we meet again or
Because
sign to anything.
I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know if
We have
we
the
do.
I think there's still some producers that are trying to get through harvest, so there'll
Yeah.
probably be people you'll be seeing after they
Yeah.
get done harvesting.
Right. And I think like,
I know Justin Payne lost stuff and he's still harvesting.
I think so.
We could also designate a certain amount and then we
And
can
Matt.
modify that amount if it isn't enough.
That's true too.
But we also may have to have a cap, you know, we might not be able to meet everyone's needs.
Yeah,
We don't know what.
Is there criteria that are they a Gilliam County taxpayer? Are they Gilliam County? I
Mhm.
mean, you know,
Yeah.
there's lots of things to think about.
Exactly. And those are types of criterias that you would recommend.
I have a question for the fire folks, when I was
You
talking,
want to come up so that we can hear on the,
he was talking about the RPA. I was always told on RPAs that you can only have an RPA if you didn't have any land that was already covered by a rural fire protection district. So I don't think we can have RPAs. Correct?
Right.
Okay, so, yeah, so
I think the whole county is encompassed by 2 fire districts.
okay,
I just wanted to.
So RPAs were basically for those no man lands
So we
or under protected lands.
yeah, so I just want to bring that clear, because I've always heard that at my emergency management trainings and that stuff, so I just wanted to make sure that I was correct in that,
Yes,
so.
it's an ODF, or Department of Forestry funded.
Or
program.
BLM has a lot of the RPAs and they donate to those causes, so they're fun.
yeah. Why, you
Yeah,
want,
can I add on that? Yeah, I kind of skipped over that in my speech, but, so I talked to Ted Netter, who is, a big higher up in all of Oregon RFPAs, and then Allison, remember her last name, she's the ODF director
Yeah,
for our Oregon RFPAs. And they both said, yes, I think technically Gilliam County can't have an RFPA. But they were both pretty hopeful that, so Gilliam County is the only county in Oregon that is covered all by rural fire protection. Now, in the statutes, it's fairly vague. It doesn't say that they have to be protected by, because it only lists like ODF, BLM, those types of state and federal, but where we're county, and it's, so she thinks, Allison thinks that we can either get a statute change, because they actually just changed the statute on what counts as rangeland, which was able to add like 4 RFPAs in certain areas because they weren't rangeland. So she thinks that, you know, with the help of commissioners and stuff, we could be able to get a statute changed to where we can still have our rural fire protection that protects it all. And then be able to have an RFPA still in a covered area, but to be able to aid them. Whereas we're one of the only counties in our area that doesn't have any BLM or ODF coverage.
Yeah.
So they're a lot, on fires, they're a ways out,
Yes.
so.
Okay, thank you.
That's all I have.
So, so our next scheduled meeting is the 19th. Is there somehow maybe by then
Yeah.
you could have some more numbers maybe to get to Judge Pat note, or I don't know, maybe a Zoom workshop? I'm just trying to.
So could we? I want to make sure we're comfortable with proceeding this way. Are we? Just
I'm open to looking at it. Yeah.
okay. Open
Yeah.
to looking at. Okay.
Yeah.
So then what we could do is we could communicate. We could come up with a draft IGA. Your numbers are flowing in. We're getting some idea as we go. And then by the 19th, have something potentially able to present to the county board, at least to draft. Well, how's that sound?
I think so. I think, what I would suggest that we do is, like, not try to recreate the wheel, go see if
Yeah.
anybody else has done this.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
It-
yes, I guess we can have
So-
something together for you.
It is simply as possible, we would need an agreement. There would be an administrative fee, we administer the amount, not to exceed amount of whatever we would designate, and then you would run the program.
The base criteria.
The base
Okay,
criteria,
yeah.
base criteria, yeah,
Gilliam County taxpayer.
Uh-huh.
Yep.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah, and I think another thing that we should, and maybe as the court, maybe the court could elevate this at some point, is like the same stuff that we run into every year, like it's just like we're just banging our heads against the
Yeah.
wall, especially about this seed thing.
yeah.
Seed, herbicide, like there's just not a program out there to help. There needs to be something.
Okay,
And then while I have the floor, I'll add one more thing, like there's, like, as far as some of the suppression that's happening, and maybe these conversations are happening, but there's a lot of like back burning and things like that happen during suppression. And I think it might be important for someone at some point to have some conversations about, like, this is pasture that people count on for
Yeah.
their livelihoods, and
yeah,
maybe not all back burns need to happen.
Mhm.
So something,
Mhm.
since I'm up here, I thought I would bring up, but there's
Yeah.
a lot of pasture that may not need to be burned up, because we're looking at a lot of folks that, have lost 90, 100% of their pasture for the next year. And
Mhm.
that's hard.
Yeah.
It's real hard.
right,
Just something.
okay, great,
Well, and I know for a fact, because I was down in Hay Creek, we took Rick's cat and water truck down there. And the wind, when it's coming out of those different draws, it just sits there, swirls. And they virtually had it almost stopped, and then they came along and backburned and it took off again. So,
yeah. There's a lot,
It's tricky.
there's a lot, some things that
Sometimes
happen
good, sometimes bad.
with the
Yeah.
state and just trying to figure out how to work with all of it. Okay, so, did you want to speak?
I do,
Okay,
but I'll come up here. But I'm not running you guys off. There's another chair.
yeah. You're up.
I agree with everything been said, and Wyatt, thank you. A lot of good ideas and whatnot there, and there are a lot of good ideas. I'm just afraid, and I caution the court to, I feel like we're opening the Pandora's box a little bit. There's a property owner in Arlington that's not a farmer, but lost several $1,000s worth of property that's not insured. So are we
Mhm.
starting this process where,
Mhm.
our winter storm or whatever,
Right,
we're kind of opening a door. So I'm just saying that, I hope the county
Something-
uses caution. And we might be further ahead, money ahead, to plan, for future fires or whatever it might be in, what am I trying to say? Pre-planning, fire prevention type stuff. And let's not forget the thousands on thousands of dollars this county has spent in fire suppression and overtime and all of that stuff. Only because it is where we live, you know, I mean, we are stewards of the land and it's our livelihood and all of those things. The expectation is that we're gonna come together as friends and neighbors and help each other. So if we plan ahead and try to do some prevention ahead of time, we might be further ahead. So we can reimburse or whatever we want to talk about, but are we going to be further ahead by doing prevention, putting prevention dollars out there, like the seeding and things like that? I think, you know, I mean, the rural fire departments and landowners did an outstanding job.
Mm-hmm,
And I agree with her. There were times where the fire was out
mm-hmm,
until we did some back burning. And then
yeah,
all of a sudden there's a fire.
right.
And that may have happened down in Cottonwood.
Mm.
So, you know, some planning and some protocols, different things like that to prevent those kinds of things. The wind is a huge issue and coming from different directions. You can't get it stopped in every
Mhm.
finger that's burning out there. So I just don't want us to open Pandora's box, want us to use caution and then how to make it better, you
Mhm.
know, moving forward.
Right.
But I don't know how. I guess I have to say I disagree with reimbursement for fuel and those kinds of things. That's all, you know, part of business expense.
Business expense.
I mean, it's where we live and it's part of your operational expense. You have to figure that in.
That's neighbors helping neighbors, but that's okay.
It is.
We agree with
And
that.
that's an expectation of where we live.
Yeah,
And, you know, we choose to live here and this is our livelihood and
Mhm.
we can't expect there's not gonna be a fire.
yeah,
I mean, there is.
Yeah.
There's gonna be winter storms and hailstorms and fog and all of those things. We deal with that. That's where we live.
Yeah.
All I'm just cautioning is Pandora's box. And let's look more at prevention, put more dollars towards prevention, maybe than reimbursement type thing, reclamation of, you know, whatever.
Mhm.
So how would you propose to do prevention?
Education. I mean, I'm sure Herb's got lots of ideas on
Up here.
Well, I guess, you know.
you know, our farming practices. I mean, you know, there's, we have gone to no-till,
That's what I was gonna bring out,
we've,
Yeah.
because we don't have
You know?
the summer fall fields.
not saying you're gonna change that, but maybe there's some things that can be suggested or done through the farming community to maybe change some of that.
Maybe talk to the government, because a lot of those farming practices are because of the government.
He's right, I know. I agree, but I'm just saying, let's look
Yeah.
at the overall picture rather than kind of our emotional response in the moment. You know?
I think we're also dealing with two things. We're talking about the emergency response to the situation, the unprecedented situation that happened. And hopefully it doesn't become commonplace.
Yeah.
And boy, we need these guys to respond if this becomes commonplace. And how do we do that?
Correct,
Then we're also talking about the things you're talking about, like the long-term
prepared.
preparedness. Yeah, in so
No,
many
I
different
agree, and I mean,
ways.
we deal with that
Yeah.
in everything, right? So if there's a neighboring sheriff that has an evacuated area, we send people to help secure that.
Mhm,
We send people to go, you know, do manhunts
mhm.
and all of that stuff. That's neighbor helping neighbor.
Right,
I don't expect,
yeah,
the only expectation I have
yeah.
is when we have a problem here, that they will come help me.
Mhm.
I mean, that's kind of what I'm alluding to.
Right,
about-
right.
Well, and I think that's what we want to make sure we do. I mean, this is such an extraordinary event that we've never faced before in our county. And I'm not saying, and my thought is the county is not, okay, what's going to take to get you back to even or whatever.
No,
That's,
No,
it's just to help ease the pain, I guess, or to make them to where they can go on. Yeah, we got 2 months left.
Sure, and we have to have the
Yeah,
expectation it's
yeah.
gonna get worse before it gets better, so
Yeah,
let's
so-
shoot for better.
The only good thing is we got a lot of fire breaks now. That's the,
yeah,
you know, but But yeah, I don't look at this as we're trying to do a catch-all for
No,
anybody.
And the other thing I will say too is when the lightning strikes and you've got 5, 6 starts, which we had, all within a few hours of each other, the organization is, well, I guess that is a plan we should work on. I mean, our fire districts respond to the fire reported, and then there's another one. You might get one person or maybe somebody from the sheriff's office sometimes goes and reports on that. And then you try to delegate resources that we didn't have to that, but everybody's doing the very best they can.
Yeah.
And on the initial response, that's, the fastest you can do and whatnot, but there's nobody left out there to kind of gauge all of these and organize. And I mean, Joe and Casey do a great job. They call for mutual aid and organize that, but we are so in the fire that it's hard to organize that. And then you get farmers. And I'll just use the case of one fire. I mean, everything was in one area. And there wasn't anybody organizing, getting, things started on other things. What I want to say, like a staging area and diverting people to where they can be most efficient. And so, those are the kinds of things that I think the county should maybe be talking about.
well, and I agree, and I think going down that road of your thoughts is the bigger fire, have some meetings going forward, and I think this is in the field of emergency management and fire.
Yes,
And I think
but they also cost money, and that's what I'm saying. We're talking about
right.
money
Right.
resources.
So have
to do
meetings to
those.
make these plans for the next event.
Right.
But do it now.
Right.
And then we're spending the next year planning for next summer. And then you have some better systems in place as a solution.
Yeah. I mean,
Is that the-
resources are still gonna be,
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Is that
I
the
think-
way
I
forward to
think,
talk about the
no.
bigger?
the fire boards
All-
and emergency management, everybody can,
Mhm.
but it's gonna take
And then-
money to have that person that can,
Uh-huh.
just not be,
Right.
and just see these things.
Yes.
Like,
Okay, Jeff.
I agree with a lot of what Gary's saying. The one thing to caution about is when you mentioned, repair, replacement, this and that. You can't figure on somebody saying, oh yeah, I just blew out the rear end of my truck, out.
Right.
Well, a lot of them are, you see, they're going 50, 60 mile an hour across,
Yes,
as
gotcha.
over rocks and stuff like that. It's like, I think repair, it shouldn't even be in the equation in it. Just for a fact, I also see, I appreciate all the farmers, but I've also seen some of them jump roads with their tractor and disc, and then disc falling apart. And it's like, you go and repair their disc for them. It's like, well, okay, well, maybe you probably shouldn't have done that. And so there's a lot of caution on that, the end of it.
And that at first I was thinking too, maybe we just focus on diesel because the rest of it, we don't know how, but I think we're just in conversations right now.
I think so too.
Uh-huh.
My big worry is everybody becomes frantic. Kind of lose their cool and because it's their stuff burning up and whatnot. And I'm one of my biggest fears is somebody out there not knowing they're out there, somebody runs over somebody or
Yeah,
whatever. You don't know where people are. There's no communication. So we'll
Yeah.
always come down to communication,
so,
but also there's not a plan. So we don't know where people are. So if we lose somebody in one of these fires, it's gonna be a whole different conversation.
oh yeah,
Well, and that's always been a challenge, is trying to
Yep.
wrangle the resources and direct and
Yep.
who's there and like, where did that guy go? But
I
it's,
didn't mean to hold you on.
yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't we go forward then with the longer term conversations and then getting the people together to make these plans. But is it, Chris, do you want to speak to that?
Well, the one person that's missing from this equation is Corey Michaelo. And I say that because so how many years ago, the Oregon State Fire Marshal's Office came out with a whole bunch of grant money. And Corey was hired as a fire defense coordinator through our fire districts. And she was very instrumental in becoming a fire defense coordinator with the fire districts, and did an instrumental job working with our cities and our county, and hello, the goats in the city of Arlington. That is part of the prevention. And that's what Gary's talking about. Those, and there were grants out there for households to be able to apply for different things. And Corey was instrumental in doing that type of stuff for the fire departments. And I hate it that she's not here because she's deployed right now with the Coast Guard. Hopefully her year is up shortly. So I hate to speak on her behalf because she's very instrumental in doing that job, and it's a fire mitigation part of it. So the Oregon State Fire Marshal has those grants available, and I see what we're going through right now. I see nothing but those grants going up, and that state money becoming a very big funding source in our future. And Corey's a amazing grant writer, and we know her. She's an amazing planner too. She just, she's our EOP right now. And so I think that we need to look at her being available for the future. So I just want to put a plug in for her.
Who will spearhead this, I guess is my question. Do we want it to be fire services or fire departments?
So I think all
Her
of
and I just had a conversation because her grant funding ended June 30th through fire services. That was the OSFM grant money, but we just got notification of Department of Interior. They have like $14 million that they're to hire positions exactly like her through the fire districts and stuff like that. So her and I have been talking a couple times.
that might be a goal.
Yeah, I think-
That the county sets is to get things like this done. So our future looks better than worse.
Right.
And so when we do have a major event like we've had, we have people in place
Yes.
that can organize and organize in, like, have a staging area and designate people to different places and know where everybody is.
It's emergency preparedness.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
I just have one thing to
Uh-huh.
say.
yeah,
We're always in the level one, no matter what people think, we should always be in the level one. And I don't give a shit if it says evacuation level ones, you're not given an Everbridge alert, but I always tell everybody, you're always, you live out here in the rural frontier, so you're always in the level one. Everybody should always think that,
okay.
and tell people that.
And I guess present your ideas of how we could organize this so that we're having conversations before the next fire season comes.
I was just gonna
Sounds
say,
like a work session.
I don't know if it's us, if it's fire related.
Well, I think we're gonna need funding from the county.
Oh, and I'm on board. I'll just say that myself, yeah.
Defensible fire spaces.
Yes.
I'm not a good grant writer or anything in that sense, but I'm willing to give a lot of time to
Okay,
make
great.
something happen, so.
Thank you. Good.
Well, like I said, I think we're talking two different things,
Mhm.
making it better and then
Mhm.
trying to do something for the
For-
immediate
for-
right
for
now. So.
And I think both of those things, are things that we need. But yeah, I think there's a lot of room for improvement. I think there has been improvement from the last time. But if this is gonna be the norm, we have to get better organized.
Hopefully it's not.
Yeah, so it's a big conversation. It's a conversation that needs to be now set up into, somebody needs to be in charge, needs to be meetings that happen. And then setting up these, all the people like you and Casey and all the fire departments and figure out how to.
I think you almost need some sort of like a fire resiliency group. October.
October's fire safety month.
Okay.
Bring it on.
Okay.
Aren't you
All right.
retiring?
I don't retire in December.
I know, but
Okay, so who else hasn't spoken that wants to speak on this? Joe, Casey, do you wanna come up and speak about things that haven't been covered?
I think a lot of it's been covered.
Okay,
Yeah.
That definitely needs to be a lot of discussion on the money wise that you're speaking of reimbursement. There's a lot to that.
Right.
Agreement with definitely that can open up that door box, for how to go
Yeah.
about that.
Right.
And what would be considered insurance, if you're trying to go to take a pickup out on a fire, you don't have insurance on it.
I hear, yeah, and that's not what this would be for
Yeah.
at all. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, when the house is burned down, people aren't. So.
Marta,
That's on them,
That's
my
on them.
opinion.
So I don't know, I think as a landowner, I think most landowners are really not looking for reimbursement. They're just happy that people came out and helped.
Mm-hmm.
I know from my point of view, it's like we were burned out, 3 sides. And a lot of people in this room were there helping, and so it's really great. One of the things Sabrina was handing out yesterday at the senior meal site, a list to all the senior people. They're saying, give us your name, what do you have, where do you live, to get a better idea of who's where. Clarence Wilson lives in the canyon.
I was so worried about Clarence.
And he was fine,
Uh-huh.
but nobody.
Drive a half hour to get cell service.
I just drive.
Or, well, not a half hour, but but he has to drive.
Right, exactly. And so it's like, how many people even knew he was there?
Yes, few of us.
A few of us knew he was there, but did you have time to go check on him? I didn't. I'm sorry. I was like, Clarence, you're on your own, man. And he was fine.
I saw him the whole time driving around.
He drove around.
So it's like, okay, he's still here.
I did see him drive by, but I do think that my point is, I think a lot of the landowners are not looking for reimbursement. They're more interested in, okay, how do we handle this next time?
Right.
And communication is key.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really hard in the moment to even think about communicating things, but you're thinking about where's the cat, where's the disc, where's the water? We have water was huge, the lack of water. Cedar Springs truck, he made more than I think he lost count at 32 loads of water in those 2 or 3 or 4 days that he, just in our area alone. And we had the tanker was there, tanker was at my house, and it was, water is a huge issue. That where to get it, how, it's like.
Right, that's part of this, the meetings, water's gotta be part of that too.
It's got.
Water sources, where are they?
Where are they? Are they locked up?
Mm-hmm.
How do you get to them? I mean, that's really important.
So I'll just make
Power.
a short
Power. We don't have power, we don't have water.
Yeah, I'll just make a short point on that. As someone who goes to fires that is not on, rural fire department, we don't have communication. So that is like the biggest thing. And if that something could be in place for that, you just don't know where all of these guys are. You don't know where the tenders are. You don't know where any equipment is. If something was to go awry, there's no way to cry for help. I mean, it's a very large gap that we have right now.
Yeah,
And I need
thank
to
you.
communicate that with landowners too. This case, and myself, we both have cases full of handheld radios. And so as an event that comes out, we can sign out radios that have direct communication with us. So, and I think
That could also be-
I have plenty of
What about mobile Starlink? Out of this thing, on yours, from your guys' perspective, was
Mobile
it
Starlink,
used?
best thing ever.
Great.
I've got it on my truck. Jerry's got one, and Casey's got
Good.
one, and
Okay,
Yeah, not a place in the county that we cannot call out of.
okay, great.
And a lot of landowners now have the mobile Starlink, that they have it on their pickups.
Yeah.
So that helps.
Good. Okay.
Well, I wanted to add a little bit on to like the planning and the preparedness side of things. So, talking about water locations, roads, fences, gates, canyon names, things like that, and communication. you know, over the years, something that constantly gets brought up is like the mapping that folks get. They don't know where they're going. We have people coming from Oklahoma. They're helping fight these fires. They don't know. So that's a big part of it. And then again, back to the water. But what the district has done, so we've done one project. We did it for 2008 in 2018 for the Ferry Canyon fire. We knew that was an issue during that fire. So we worked with all the producers out there. I think I've shared it with you folks before, but we mapped where all the water is in that watershed, where all the fences, the gates, like, can you take a structure engine down this road? Don't dare do that. You won't make it. Those kind of things that are on these maps. We got another FEMA grant to do it out in Lone Rock. We wrote that grant 2 years ago. We still haven't got the money, but like, it's coming, right? But I bring that up because that is something that I think that while we're having this big conversation, you know, the district is mostly, we're like recovery and things like that, restoration, but we can help with this kind of mapping stuff. But is like talking about doing like a whole county-wide inventory of these resources and the infrastructure and a way that we can get it out to everybody so that they can use it. You know, we've been talking with the road department. You know, there are places like, we know where most of these dozer lines go in every year, but these guys are out there in the middle of the night sometimes and they're trying to find where to go off. We can like make maps of where it's safe to go off with the dozers. We can talk to Dewey. There's things that we can do like starting now until the next fire to get ready. And you know, it seems to me like Gilliam County is a county that's innovative, pushing the envelope. We can figure this stuff out. We have the right group of folks to do this. Let's put it all together and like have our stuff together, because this is going to happen again.
Yeah.
Columbia Basin.
Yeah.
They know, like down on the river, they have all the keys and access to get through, because those gates are locked. You know, and the fire comes through, you know, those gates are locked.
Yeah, just right on the
Yeah, I know, they're both right through it. But, you know, I mean, it's still, it's
Right.
good for people to know that that gate potentially might be locked, and are you prepared to drive through it?
So, you know, we've talked about the potential emergency funding or that conversation, but then this long-term conversation, what I see is that we need to have a person who's spearheading this, who's organizing the meetings, figuring out the things that on this gathering, making sure the right people are at the table. And that's the next step to get that going. I think it needs to be somebody in the fire or EMS, or excuse me, emergency management area to be the person who's getting all this going.
Or you'll be back.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, she will.
Do you think this would be something that she would want? I mean, we gotta ask her. If she
From
would
the
wanna do this.
conversations that I've had with Corey over the last week or so, yeah.
Okay, Good.
'Cause she forwarded me, I had gotten an email with this DOI grant funding, and it wasn't 15-20 minutes later, she texted me with the link, and she's
Okay.
like, what about this?
okay,
And I'm like, are you
Okay.
interested? And she's like,
Good.
absolutely.
okay,
So,
great. Good, then let's just communicate with her, see if she's,
And she's doing her business.
okay.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah.
All right, thank you, Herb, and I'm
Yes.
sorry about this conversation is messy, the fire was messy, we just have to start, right? Did everybody get to speak that wanted to speak about this?
So the state is wanting damage assessments done now, so we will, which, you know, the state's still on fire. Most of the state is still on fire, so damage assessments are occurring right now. And so I'm thinking that, you know, we broke a record. We're at what, 2 million now, acres or whatever it is. So, damage assessments are occurring. And we will be, getting the damage assessments done. This also includes all of the electrical. So don't forget Columbia Basin is included in this as well, with all of their poles and, electrical, telecommunications, anything else like that too. So, but right now, there's 5 questions on the damage assessment that they're sending to us, like, is there any primary residence, secondary, stuff like that? Is there any public infrastructure that's been damaged? Is there, bridges, roads, culverts? Is there residence, electrical, you know, are you able to assess any of this type of stuff? Is it still dangerous? Agricultural stuff like that. So it's pretty much yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. Not asking for any cost yet. So we're just answering those top 5 questions right now, submitting that type of stuff, telling them, yes, we're doing this. And then when they start asking for costs, that's going to be a big job, which we will reach out to Herb and Lori for on the agricultural side. And then I usually put a phone call into Columbia Basin. They usually can tell me right away. And as far as I know, I don't know, I'll reach out to Dewey, but I don't know about culverts or anything like that for any of our county roads. But I'm pretty sure we don't have any public infrastructure, so yeah, other than that, but damage assessment is important.
Okay, all right. We'll be in contact.
Yeah.
And then we'll contact Corey.
And so we can probably say that the state probably will put in for residential assessment.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Thanks for everybody for your input and thank you for what you've done. Everybody worked so hard and appreciate everybody. Thanks. All right. We'll go with Jessica Meta then. Consider appointment of City of Arlington representative to McKeag. Jessica, sorry, that was a big conversation we just had.
That's okay.
All right.
Yes, so when Gilliam County was added to the McKeag district, the last step was for the McKeag board to amend the bylaws to add Gilliam County. And when the board did that, they chose to add Gilliam County in the same way as all of our other counties. So it has a county representative and a representative of the cities of the counties. So I offered to help Judge Patnode with that process, as I do in many of our other counties, where we essentially reach out to the cities to see who is interested. Often, especially when you don't have a lot of cities, as in Gilliam County, the seat can rotate between the cities. The typical term is a 2-year term, but the Oregon seats rotate on odd years. So essentially, we're appointing somebody right now for just a 1-year term to then get on the regular cycle of a 2-year. So Anya Mundy helped reach out to Lone Rock, which was really appreciated, and I reached out to Arlington and Condon. I talked with the staff about how it's usually a mayor or a councilor that takes the role. Sometimes it could be a city manager. And Arlington Councilor Kayla Rayburn said that she was really interested in joining and taking this first term. And Condon said that they were fine with Arlington taking the first term. After a while, we did finally hear back from Lone Rock that they were interested in serving, but it had been like quite a while. So we are going to reserve them for a future term. So the request then is to appoint Arlington City Councilor Kayla Rayburn to your Cities of Gilliam County seat on the McKeag board for this term, which will end August 31st, 2027.
All right, do you have any questions? For Jessica? And it is clear, the city of Condon's comfortable with this, correct?
Yes.
They're representing both cities, so I know that's true, but I just wanted to make sure it was
Yes,
clear.
I should have said that, and that is something that we underline, is the expectation is that whoever's on the board is representing all of the cities. So before one of our quarterly board meetings, they're checking in with the other cities to see, what they have going on so that they can adequately represent all of the interests.
Okay. I do have a question, though. We have a meeting today, 4:00. Is this person gonna be on board by then?
No, so this will just be for the full board meetings, which are the quarterly ones. So I will make sure that she is on board for September 18th is the next one.
Right. Okay, thank you. Ready then.
You good?
Okay.
I'll move to appoint Kayla Rayburn, Arlington City Councilor, as the Cities of Gilliam County representatives to the McKeag board for the open term ending August 31st of 2027.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion on this matter? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. Good, thank you, Jessica.
Thank you all.
Okay, great. Right. We have one other matter, 7.3, consider approval of fiscal year 26 special projects grant extension request, North Gilliam County Health District. That one is a request. It will require motion. It looks like, well,
I will abstain from discussion and voting as I am on that board.
okay, all right. So it looks like they applied for a rural health clinic designation and they need more time to work with that process. And they're requesting extension through 6/30 of 27. You have any thoughts, Commissioner? Okay.
So they, are they, the grant was used to help facilitate that application?
Right, so on the back side or the next page after the briefing is the email from Stacy Redden to Brooklyn detailing what's going on. You see that?
Yeah. Okay,
Are we ready for, I can make the motion if you don't.
hang on, I'm getting back up.
Okay.
Okay, I move to approve the extension request of North Gilliam County Health District fiscal year 26 special project grant to 6/30/2027.
I will second the motion. Any discussion, sort of thing, right?
No,
Okay. All in favor?
aye.
Aye. Motion carries and Commissioner Pencil abstains. Okay. All right. Now, the last item, regular item on the agenda is presentation, East Cascade Works. Heather, is it Fred?
It's picked.
Fred? All right, Executive Director. Whenever you're ready.
Thank you so much. I really wanted to acknowledge and appreciate the entire community around the fire response. That was a really important conversation. So I was grateful to be able to listen in, and thank you, Judge, and commissioners for allowing me to speak. So I am your friendly neighborhood workforce development board director, and we are appointed by the governor to serve the 10 counties east of the Cascades, including Gilliam. Next slide, please. Thank you so much, Anya, for taking the wheel here for me. So the way that we have oversight is that predominantly our funding, more than 70% of our resources, come from the federal government through the U.S. Department of Labor. The state of Oregon doesn't have a Department of Labor, so our funds used to flow through the Higher Education Coordinating Commission, and now they're going to flow through Oregon Employment Department. But the way that the funds get allocated across the state is by county. So at the end of the day, if we misuse funding, it goes on to the county commissioners and the judges in each of our communities. Fortunately, we are very fiscally sound and extremely rigorous stewards of public funds, have never had a disallowed cost or even a finding in our third-party audits. So our commissioners and judges oversee our budget and appoint board members to our private sector led board of directors. So I like to say I have 30 bosses to keep me in line. And Judge Padnode is one of our vice chairs. We want to make sure there's sub-regional oversight of our work. Next slide. So we are also governed by a board of directors that is 51% private sector. And the remaining positions are really about, I like to say workforce development is a team sport. No one of us do it alone. And so at different times, different economic development entities are on our board. It rotates. So right now it's EDCO. We have 3 labor positions. These are all required by the federal legislation. So these positions are. Right now, we have 2 Columbia Gorge members. One is the president, who's representing overall post-secondary education, and the second is adult basic skills or adult GED. And so that's Susan Lewis and Kenny Lawson, as well as the Oregon Employment Department and vocational rehab. So they really decide on our strategic direction, what populations we prioritize serving. You'll be glad to know that rural and frontier are some of our priority populations, as well as the emerging workforce, so young people. Next slide. So we have a small but mighty team. We have 30,000 square miles, and just with one funding stream, we have 4,500 pages of regulation and myriad policies to follow. And you want us to do that so that we never have disallowed costs. So this is our operations team. Next slide. And this is our program team. And 2 of our program staff, both our director of programs, Teresa Weir, and our business and community engagement manager, Kristen, live in the Columbia Gorge area. They both live in the Dalles. So although our region in the next slide you'll see is quite large, you can go ahead and go to the next slide. We have a local presence in the Gorge area. Sadly, we don't in Klamath, but we do in Lake. So what the heck do we do? We are the oversight, evaluation, accountability, and investment partner in the public workforce system. And in Oregon, that's branded as WorkSource. We have centers in Hood River and the Dalles that are seeing job seekers, but we're also doing an experiment in Gilliam County right now where we've partnered with Brittany Dark at the Frontier Chamber and have an access point at the Condon Chamber. And so it's a WorkSource computer. Folks can come in and use it, and the printer for any of their, you know, you want to print up a resume, you want help with a resume, you can't reach your unemployment insurance line. They can go there and utilize the services in order to be able to do that a little closer to home. We haven't gotten a huge number of folks using that site, and so we're looking at how to do better promotion. The other thing that we were able to do is we're supporting the Oregon Employment Department. They purchased these Sprinter vans. You can see a picture of one of the examples of them in the bottom corner there, and they're actually driving and doing services throughout our rural region. And we were able to secure a van for ourselves for our entire region. So there's one that goes along the I-5 corridor, and then there's one that goes along the 97 corridor, and then there's one for Eastern Oregon. And I don't have that schedule in front of me, but I'd sure be happy to send it to Anya to share with all of you. And the purpose of that is to create greater connectivity and to be able to serve our frontier and rural regions better. Next slide. We have an adjacent system to our adult system we call it the Youth Compass program, and it's really focused on young people who are 16 to 24. Think about those young people who maybe have their high school credential or they don't, but they're kind of lounging around and loafing around the house. They're not working. They're not in post-secondary of any kind. Those are the kids that we really want to wrap around and help them either complete secondary education and have a plan and get launched into career or college or apprenticeship, or they're older and they're not done with their high school credential. And we want to get them to that, but then beyond. And so the main services that we really offer there are work readiness training, but also importantly, internships. This is Naomi. She is a student of a local high school here in Central Oregon who experiences disabilities. And we were really able to wrap around Naomi and get her an internship at this really sweet bunny rescue. I'm trying to remember the name of it. It doesn't really matter, but she's working with animals because that was her passion. And so she's kind of exploring career options. there's really no better job training program than a job. And so work-based learning and internships are really important to us. Next slide. Part of the reason that I'm here today is that I want to really share with you as leaders in the community around how these resources are allocated and how they're utilized. We get about $4 million annually to serve 30,000 square miles. The way these funds are allocated is based on each county. So I'm going to have you go to the, actually stay on this slide. So each county gets a allocation, a dollar amount that they get across youth services, adult services, which is anybody who's 18 or older, who's legal to work in this country, and then dislocated workers. Again, anyone 18 or older who's legal to work in this country and was working but isn't working now. And it's heavily biased towards population density. And that means that many of our rural counties get very little funding. And so one of the things to note is that our organization does not do direct service. And that's by executive order of the governor about 3 governors ago, who said, you need to be neutral and invest and get more resource to invest, which we've done, and really evaluate the system and make sure that all the partners within that system are working well together. And so that's 5 state agencies and then our resource. We contract with Columbia Gorge Community College to deliver our services in the 5 counties to the north of us, including Gilliam County. And we reserve only 14% of our whole budget to pay for our operations oversight. The average in the country and in this state is 20 to 25%. So we run very lean, but we do that on purpose because we want the majority of these resources to pay for services to job seekers in business and young people, which is 86% of our resource. Next slide. So as you saw on the previous slide, who gets the most money? Multnomah, Washington County, and City of Portland, right? They get around 7 million. Well, in this state, the governor is really key to these resources because she gets to decide how much is withheld. Right now, this program year, so from June 30, 2026 to July 1, 26 to June 30, 27, the state withholds 5% of the funds, or $1.8-ish million to pay for staffing, pay for all the things that they do. Then the governor can withhold, she can withhold more than 2.9 million, but that's what she chose to withhold this year. And it's for statewide activities. So it's for what she wants to invest in statewide with these dollars. She still has to follow the rules of the funding. And generally those funds continue to still flow through us, but they don't have to. She can choose to do it a different way. And then rapid response is when there is a serious layoff, like a lot of workers are displaced, we can apply to the federal government, U.S. Department of Labor, for emergency funding. As experienced by our wildfire folks, it usually takes a long time to get those funds. So they withhold this $1.6 million to gap fill in the meantime while we wait for those resources from the federal government. So as you can see, the state sits on about $6.4 million. And if you go back a slide, that's more than almost any of the workforce areas get aside from Multnomah and Washington County for an entire year. So one of the things that we are looking to advocate for is to have the governor withhold less resource. Because if we can't pay for people to serve people, we really can't get any of our resources out the door to pay for scholarships, on the job training funds, all of those resources. And so you can go back to the previous slide. So as you can see, that's a lot of money they're sitting on. That's almost $3 million. And I'm not sure what the plan is. I haven't heard what the plan is with those resources. Next slide. I just want to point out to you how this bias of against rural happens. So, and it's my opinion that it's a bias. I'm not saying it is. This is my opinion. If you take a look here across adult, dislocated worker, and youth funding, we only get $2,900 for an entire year to serve Wheeler County. We only get less than $5,000 to serve Sherman County. I don't know about you, but I'm not sure what we can do with that. It's $5,000 for an on-the-job training or for a classroom training. So that's not even enough money to serve one person. So what we do is we combine all 5 counties' allocation and contract with Columbia Gorge to serve all of the communities. But what we also do is we've approached our board, and since our founding in 2015, we have had concurrence with our board that the technical amount that's supposed to go to the Columbia Gorge area and plateau, it's not enough money. So we peel off some of the funding that technically is allocated to Jefferson, Crook, and Deschutes County, and we invest it in the north. Next slide. Because $153,000, that pays for one person to do services, and that's not appropriate. So the other thing that we do is that we hustle for funds. And I don't have the slide in here, but we actually, oh yes, I have it here. I have it in my notes, I apologize. So as you saw, technically the resource is only 153, but what we do is we've hustled and gotten additional funds, plus we give a larger allocation than technically what the counties are to get. And so we have a contract with Columbia Gorge Community College for $300,860 for the year for adult services and $215,840 for youth services. So although WIOA is less than, 153, we add to that because we don't think it's appropriate. This is just a slide about the kinds of ways that we judge our performance in how we're judged by the USDOL and how we're judged by the state. Even though you'll see that some of these look like that we're below performance, we're actually not, because our performance is so high that the state negotiates a higher target for our region than other regions. So that, for example, the number of people that entered employment 2 quarters after they were served by us in the adult system, which is the DW line there, it says our target is 74% and we hit 71. So it looks like we failed, but we didn't fail. We actually still exceeded what the state goal of 68% is. So that's just how you read this slide. Again, same with entered employment 1 year. Are they still employed 1 year after working with us? 70% of them are. The goal for the state is only 66%, but they gave us a goal of 73. Again, you kind of get penalized for doing really well. We served 1,353 people. Individuals across our 10 counties last program year. Next slide. And these are just different resources. I sent my PowerPoint in, so these are all hyperlinks and I encourage you to check them out. One of the things that I really want to emphasize is our employee advancement grants are going to restart in October of this year. And what those are is they're really intended to be for if you have a training that you need to deploy within your organization, there's really no resources for you to go to get that paid for. These are matching grants for companies that are less than 50 employees and for very small businesses. And I can't remember the threshold for that, if it's 5 or 10 employees. We want to do grants where it's not even matching. It's just a micro grant. Here's the money. Tell us what you're going to do with it. But the other grants are matching grant And the way that it works is as long as you're paying, you have to pay people while they're in training, but you can count those wages towards your match. So it's a 50-50 match. There are several companies in the 5 counties in the north that have taken advantage of this, but not a lot in Gilliam County. We did support during the pandemic, the pharmacy needed to put in a buzzer on their door, and we were able to use rapid response funds to pay for that so that they could still stay open. So we're pretty creative with these resources, but it's really intended to help skill up and support employees that are working. So they don't have to stop out and go back to work, or so that business operations can continue. Next slide, I think, is just a thank you. So I just wanted you to know who I am and what we do. And if you have any questions, or if you ever have a workforce issue, do not hesitate to reach out to me. You can do it through me. You can do it through Chris, whatever works for you. But we want to serve your community, and
How
about all I have.
how do you reach the youth, the youth that are emerging workers? Are you doing that through the schools? How is the outreach and the education going?
Yeah, that's a really great question. We do it through Columbia Gorge Community College, and so their ABS, their Adult Basic Skills program, so their GED program is the primary way that we reach young people. But we also do some outreach with the schools. And so
Okay.
when I say we, I mean Columbia Gorge Community.
Yeah, okay,
Mhm.
all right.
So do you take like, you don't go to any high schools or anything like that, or you do?
I'm sorry, could you say that?
Do
again?
you go to like the high schools? I see you guys have the van and, I know there's trades that have, try to put some trade shows on, so forth like that. I didn't know if that's something that you guys just go directly like
The
that.
van only serves adults because it's the Oregon Employment Department, unfortunately. But we have supported things like, I have to say the Dufour High School has been really engaged with us. And we've funded things like a bus to get them to the skilled trades fair. Or we have partnered with Chris's niece in Condon to do like career exploration days where young people get to go to all of the businesses in town and meet them. Sadly, we don't have a lot of resource. One of our priorities this year with the long session with the legislature is I would like to see a greater investment by the state legislature in the emergent workforce. Because if our young people can't see that there are jobs in our communities, particularly in rural and frontier, they leave and they don't come back. Or they leave and then they come back much later. But there are careers and jobs in our communities, but sadly, we don't have a lot of resource to reach them. And if we had more resource, we could do more work-based learning and opportunities with young people in our rural areas. So that's one of the things we're really advocating for.
Right. But do you have any other questions?
I don't.
No, but it's a good idea if you're funding transportation for kids to go to fairs. Like I know at one of our Columbia Advisory Committee meetings, we talked about getting kids down to the waste management to talk to them about jobs that were open.
That's a good.
Yeah, and
careers like welding, heavy equipment operators.
Yeah.
And those are great careers. And those are often careers that don't require a lot of post-secondary, so they can get those credentials that they need and go straight to work. We did get a small maritime grant that allowed us to make some investments at the port. But our resource is just so tiny that it's hard to squeeze that dime, we squeeze the dime till it screams, but I'd like a few more dimes to rub together for our particularly frontier regions.
Yeah. Thank you. It gets me thinking about our own youth employment program. Maybe there's some links that we could make with you there.
Yeah, and I'd love any introductions you can make. We will follow up.
Great, thank you.
Thank you all. Be safe out there.
Okay.
Appreciate your time.
Okay, announcements next meeting, August 19th in the Gronquist Building, 10 o'clock. I just wanted to, that same day, I've been participating in, Senator Nash has put together a Eastern Oregon housing tour, and it will also be August 19th. So it's going to start in Arlington. We only have an hour in Gilliam County. And so it's only going to be Arlington. This housing tour is just going to go up 84. And so it will be Gilliam County, Arlington, Umatilla County, and then go on to Union County and Wallowa County the next day. So if you want to know more about that, we can get you the information. But that's exciting. They're attempting to get legislators and state people here so that they can see our rural housing needs and maybe get some things going for the legislative session. So that's exciting. The other thing I'm excited about with that is seeing what other communities are doing with their housing and how did they do it. So there's that. What do you have?
16th July in Norcore. Like I say, there's a lot going on. I brought up that the board, we might have to have a work session for the Norcore board because we need to address the can that keeps getting kicked down the road there. So with the funding. But anyway, 24th, I had Andy with Anderson and Perry set up a Zoom meeting with the Saddle Butte folks, kind of to lay out everything on that road, the permitting. Really pushing on Mr. Andy. I've requested that our mid-month, I want him to give the court an update where we're at. I'm pushing. I told him, I said, we keep hearing every 2 weeks. 2 weeks ago, we were going to have the physical layout. And they're working diligent, I know, but, I told him, I said, your time and our time is a little more urgency on my part than I think yours. So I really pushing him to get the permits submitted this month. Now, whether that happens or not, I don't know.
The Saddle Butte is still, they're coming up quickly.
Yes, and Ben and Burke, they're concerned, but he thinks that there's a lot of things to address. I think that Anderson Perry, I think they're getting what the state wants to be addressed. It's the time frame. We don't have 3 months for DSL to get back to us, so and I mentioned to Andy that Saddle Butte folks are more than willing to help assist, possibly discuss their concerns with the governor, but I think we need to use every little thing that we have to get this accelerated.
Well, one of the things is the fact that there was a fire out there.
Yes.
And if you can't get your help out there because of the train, that's the significant issue.
Yeah, we had resources that were tied up because of the train on that we're trying to get to Chem Waste and Cedar Springs Ranch.
Yep.
Train.
Which is what we've always worried about.
Yeah.
Right.
Primarily.
Yeah. So, like I say, I'm really pushing hard on Andy, and I just told him, I said, you just plan on updating the court mid-month. I said, I want the court to be in where we're at on that. The 29th, I come up to the communications fire meeting up here, and I could have said it back then, but they just spoke so highly of the fire districts, the local. He's like, you folks have done this before, and I was only aware of one person getting hurt up here, I think, that's amazing with everything. But
That wasn't a local.
yeah, yeah, somebody at night or something. I guess but really spoke highly of them. Yeah, the 11th EDP is having an open house.
Yeah.
And Korea on the 14th. And the only two things, has anybody heard back anything from the TV co-op? I haven't.
No. Yeah, we should probably talk about what we want to do with that.
Well, I mean,
I wanted to see them come up with some kind
Yeah.
of budget,
Mhm.
what that would look like and whether it's.
well, yeah, Commissioner Watkins asked him in the last meeting, I was like, okay,
Mhm.
we're going to help you. We need to see your plan, so I'll reach out to John.
Okay.
And see, I don't
That
know
would
if
be
they've
great.
talked to their board. Yeah,
Okay, thank you.
that's all I know.
Good. All right, Mr. Watson.
Nope, just been harvesting. I don't think you want to hear about that.
One thing I wanted to let you know is, I had Anya reach out to Rally Networks regarding the South County Fiber Project, and the email came back from Jonathan Cannon that said, we're still under construction. Our crews have been laying conduit and hammering through lots of rock, which we
Yeah.
knew that. The fires certainly have not helped our progress. We were still moving forward. I anticipate we'll begin connecting some customers south of town later this year, or early in 2027. And yes, we still anticipate most will be connected for the standard hookup fee. Because that was one of my questions is, are they going to be just going to the driveway? So it sounds as if their plan, at least for now, is that. And yes, the 11th of August is the EDP Renewables Open House. Watch for that. There'll be an ad in the newspaper as well. And I'm going to go around on Friday with for Frontier Telenet tour to look at all the towers in the 3 counties, so you can get a lay of the land on how that is set up. Yep. So the housing tour, that'll be a big one. I'm excited about that, and then there's also the property sale for the Lancaster property. What street is that on? Lincoln Street. Okay, so that's at 5 o'clock on the 26th. Minimum bid is somewhere around 46,000. Okay, yeah. So it's on Zillow's, it's on our website.
Maybe it'll be like that other one,
Yeah.
go way over.
All right. No further business. This meeting's adjourned.